Okay, we have a lot to talk about today. So NIO released their May deliveries report. We're going to go over that because, well, obviously you see the stock's been booming as of late. If we look just a week out, the stock's up 56% this week. Son of a gun. Another 6% today. So we're going to take a look at that May report. I crunched the math for you, give an estimate of where this stock's going to be at, what exactly this means for the stock, and if it's still worth purchasing at these levels. So just looking at the report, obviously, they delivered 3,436 vehicles in May, which, by the way, is massive. It's a record high monthly delivery number for them. And one thing I need to note, too, they gave an estimate here of 9,500, so 10,000 vehicles in quarter two. So to think that 1 month of that, they're posting a vehicle delivery of 3,500, they're certainly well on their way to achieve that goal. We also look at the fact that they posted the pretty much same amount as they did in the entire quarter of quarter one, in which they were completely shut down, obviously. We talk about the pandemic and how that completely shut them down in Q1. Q2 is looking very, very strong for them as they've had both very strong Aprils, and now May absolutely is massive for them so far. So it just continues just a great pattern for them, right? As far as the vehicle breakdown, I think this is pretty important to look at. But you see overall a 215.5% growth year over year, which is insane to think about. Deliveries consisted of 2,685 ES6s and 751 ES8s, and that's massive to think about when you look at previous reports for them just within the past year. The ES8's really been, not super successful. If you look overall in Q1 as a whole, they only delivered 195 ES8s. Obviously, as they're more premium of the two vehicles, it's the more expensive one, and see, this month alone, they delivered 751, which is good because I think they need a rise, especially with the all-new ES8 that they released. They were really looking for increased demand back at that vehicle, right? And I think there's a good chance they might finally see it again. I think the next big thing is the EC7 coming out, or is the EC6? Yeah, sorry, my bad. Their newest vehicle after that is going to be massive, obviously, coming out later this year in the middle of the year, shooting around the July time. But for now, you see massive deliveries this quarter, or this month, I should say. Overall has now reached 42,342 vehicles delivered. Very massive. Just really good stuff. And I think overall, this momentum should continue. If we take a look at the Chinese auto industry, once again, they reported another positive month, increased 11.7% in May. So Chinese auto it's seemingly on a cycle upward now. I think obviously they were shut down for the first little bit here, and we saw major drops in the middle at the start of the year at least. But overall, we're seeing the demand come back. People are purchasing vehicles, and the auto industry is a very cyclical one. So when they finally reach a cycle up, NIO is going to benefit quite a bit, as you see, even when time in which the auto industry is really just getting devastated, NIO is still providing or really finding ways to succeed and really boost their deliveries. So pretty exciting. So I did the math on that, obviously, and we're looking off an annualized. I'm giving benefit of the doubt. I'm going the cheapest option possible here. I'm saying that all of these deliveries in my calculations were the cheap versions. For the ES6, we're equating that to right around the $55,000 mark, I believe, or $50,000 mark. If you equate that out with the vehicles delivered this month alone, they did nearly $150 million in just the ES6 model. And that's only if they only sold the cheapest model. They didn't give a breakdown between which of which. But if we are going just off the cheapest model, I think I base this around 3,000 or 365,000 yuan. If you do that comparison, you're getting somewhere around $150 million for the month just in ES6s. So pretty massive, all things considered there. If you're looking at ES8s, going off the cheap model of this, which is right around the $66,000 mark, I believe, US dollar, they did around $50 million in ES8s. Now that's obviously if they didn't buy a signature version, and signature obviously quite a bit more expensive, closer to the $75,000 to $80,000 range. So I'm giving just the low estimates, and just off the low estimates, they're going to go ahead and do right around $200 million just this month alone for the quarter, right? All things considered, if they keep that momentum up and you equate that over a full year, we're talking revenue in the $2.4 billion range. And now I don't think they necessarily will keep the same numbers up. I think it could grow, actually. But this is a company that's averaging estimates for the year of $1.86 billion. I think they're certainly on track to hit that, which represents an annualized growth of 68%. I think they're on track to hit that and do a little bit more. Average estimate for the next quarter, though, is only $495 million, which they easily should beat that on all aspects. If they did $200 million this month, $200 million next month, potentially in the month prior they did around $150 million. They really should be posting somewhere around the $550 million mark, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. It kind of depends on how June pulls out for them. But I think that for this next quarter, they're going to be posting somewhere around a $550 million number as opposed to this $500 million number they're giving me as an estimate, which could be crazy, right? That's a year-over-year growth somewhere around, it'll be closer to 100, right around 110%, I should say. So that is for this current quarter. They're actually, current quarter they're estimated $450 million. Whew. They're going to be surpassing the $500 million mark this quarter. I will just tell you that right now. And I believe full year they're going to be closer around a $2 billion mark. So that's my estimate. As long as this momentum relatively continues, if it continues as strong as it is, they'll blow these estimates out of the water. But I'm expecting a little bit of a downturn in terms of these estimates and really the momentum there. And you think about the stock trading right now, the market cap's increased quite a bit, right around $6.6 billion for this company. And I could see an annualized revenue this year of $2 billion. So all things considered, if you take that into effect, really trading at 3 times the market cap of what their revenue is, I think it's pretty cheap valuation for a company that has the growth prospects that this does, right? Now, I gave an estimate of the stock for $5 by the end of the year, and I think that's certainly possible that it still ends there. I gave $10 by the end of next year, and I'm being very conservative with those estimates. I do think there is more downturn headed for this stock up ahead. I really believe in the summer months we're probably going to hit a pretty rough period where it's going to fall below 5 again, and I think there's a decent chance it stays stagnant until next year. I think there'll be a good breakout. Now, I could be completely wrong on that. This market's trading quite irrationally, and I think that goes without saying. But there's a lot of factors to think about. We think about once we finally get done with everything going on right now, which I hate to say because it just feels like nothing's ever ending. We talk about the potential of we get back into trade discussions with China, and what does that look like, right? Does that send the stock tumbling again? I don't know. But I think valuation is honestly still pretty fair for this company, all things considered. The multiple there just is relatively cheap, and it's a company working on improving their loss. They'll certainly be able to be funded through this year, and I think overall they'll continue to be funded throughout. So I'm not personally buying at these rates, but I do believe over a long period of time you're going to get value, really some good value gain, even buying at these levels, right? My cost basis is $2 on this stock, so if it gets anywhere below 4, I'll be purchasing back in, and that's why I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of weakness, because I think there's really good times ahead for this stock, even with my conservative estimates. But overall, I'm just thinking the market will treat it a little bit unfairly, even though these revenue numbers are going to be really good coming up. I'll just tell you that right now. So really hope you enjoyed this, and have a good one.